Hello. I'm feeling a bit discombobulated today, and I think I need to talk to you guys again because everyone else I normally talk to is busy today. Felt good this morning before my daughter went to school. Was happy having a little chat with her. Came home and realised I was feeling lonely and bored and frustrated. I'm definitely recovered from the vaccine now. No sore arm, no headache, none of that. But I'm still stuck with the PMDD stuff. And I just feel restless and don't want to do anything that I know that I have to do and I need to do. So there's still some of that pouty from yesterday, but it's more. Hang on. There was less water in the kettle than I thought there was. Just bear with me for a second. I'm going to make my cup of coffee. It's, hold on a minute. Won't take me long. Hang on a second. I'm also trying to learn to drink coffee without sugar. Definitely can't do it without milk. That's just, unless it's like Turkish coffee or Cuban coffee, but then it needs a ton of sugar to go with that. So, so that's kind of defeats the purpose. So there we go. I'm learning if I have it weaker than I would normally, like when I have sugar, it's not as bad. Yeah, okay. It's cold today. That's hot. Yes, feeling all restless and I just want to move. I want to go out for a walk. I want to do something adventurous. I want to do something interesting that's not boring old chores and boring old, regular stuff. But I have to wait for my daughter to get home because she wants to walk with me today and I don't have enough energy to do 2 walks like I do sometimes. So I'm feeling stuck. Physical wise, emotional wise, mental wise, financial wise. Our rent went up the other month and so we're still trying to figure out, went up by so much. We're still trying to figure out whether we can cut enough corners to make it, viable for us to stay here. Because there's nowhere else that's any cheaper. I'm sure everyone, the whole world over, is feeling the same thing. Food, gas, petrol, everything's, electricity, everything's just gone up. It was insane how much our rent went up though. So, and to make matters worse, hubby's okay, which is I'm really, really, really glad about. But on my way home on the freeway last night from work, he hit something on the freeway, ran over something on the freeway. He wasn't the only one. There was like 4 or 5 other cars and trucks and things that had also hit the same thing. So the tow trucks were very busy around there. Apparently this is a regular occurrence. He's just been lucky enough to avoid it until now. One of his workmates had the same thing happen the other month. But yeah, the two tires, two of the side tires, they're trashed. The rims are trashed, the tires are trashed. So it's more money than we have to outlay. So I just felt like we were just sort of starting to get a handle on things to see if we could figure out how to reconfigure our budget. And then this happens. So it's like, so that was upsetting news to get on the way home from our event last night. That went really well. Daughter had a great time, so that was really good to see. I was happy just to spectate. That was okay. And funny enough, when we're there, they had a little snack table thing. So luckily, I'd had dinner before I left, so I wasn't that hungry. But I noticed on the table they had something, a little fun size chocolate bar. It's called a Mars bar. They're similar to the American Milky Way bar, where it's chocolate, loose caramel, and then the malt flavoured nougat in the inside. So I've been craving one of those for ages and ages and ages. Every time I go to the supermarket, I see them there. That's always at the checkout. Good marketing strategy. The regular bar's about that big, and it's well over $1 now. So I'm definitely not paying for something that I may or may not like anymore. But I've been craving it so much. Because when I like dark chocolate now, actually. Some of the Aldi chocolate I've discovered I really like. Because COVID messed with my taste buds in certain ways. Certain things I don't like as much anymore. Diabetes has messed with my taste buds. MS has messed with my taste buds. So some things I used to love, I don't like anymore. Don't like as much. Or even just as I'm growing older, I'm just realising I don't like those things anymore. But a Mars bar is something I've been craving and craving and craving. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to bring one of those home. Nothing else that interested me. And I thought, at least it's a fun size to try. So I'm so glad I had that chat with you guys yesterday, because if I hadn't let out all those feelings, I think I would have, after getting the news about hubby's tyres, that I would have just come home and shoved everything under the sun in my face. 1, shock. 2, relief that he was okay. 3, oh my god, the financial stress. Which, again, shoving food that I can't afford to, binge on is also not great. So that was a relief. I hope that sentence made sense. That didn't come out right. But oh well, I hope you get my gist. So, yeah, Mars bar. Come on, brain. You can do it. You can do it. Mars bar, yes. Today when I came home, I was all discombobulated and out of sorts and frustrated with the whole, everything. Years gone by, I would have, set up a book or a movie, some YouTube stuff, just really settled in for the afternoon, especially, again, a grey, cold day, and made a feast of it, made an occasion of it, just really enjoyed being on my own, snuggling with the food, snacks, whatever I wanted, and treated myself too, because I felt bad. But I'd had lunch. I had one of my lovely the extra beef stew preps from the last week. The leftover ones, not the one in the lunchbox. And I had that with some toast. I cooked the toast really dark. I really like well done toast, extra crunchy. So I had that, and I'm very full. I was very full. But I think because it was so savoury and so rich that I wanted something sweet. But I wasn't hungry. So I had to sit there, all discombobulated, wanting something sweet. Oh, I need to cut my hair soon. It's driving me mad. But I didn't want to eat. And my brain's going, you could have corn chips and salsa. That's delicious. You could have a bowl of Cocoa Pops. You could have a hot chocolate, or all the things I used to want to eat when I was feeling like this. I switched between soft and crunchy and spicy and sweet and savoury and all different stuff. Get a real gamut of hit every flavour profile I could. Those of you who are binge eaters or emotion eaters, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm alluding to. You have to hit all the stuff that you want. And this Mars bar's been sitting here all day, since last night. And I haven't eaten it. It's not there as a test. It's not there to see how long I can hold out like I would have done before. It's nothing of the sort. It's just there because I fancy it. And if I fancy enough to eat it, I'll eat it. And if I don't fancy enough to eat it, then I can pass it on to hubby. daughter can't have it. She's lactose intolerant, so she can't have regular chocolate anymore. Which was hard for her to deal with. Poor thing. But she's got used to it. She's found substitutes that she likes now. But that's how I feel about this. Do I actually want it, or is it the nostalgia of how it used to taste, how it used to make me feel? It is delicious, but do I want it anymore? Back when I was was first learning about intuitive eating, back when I lived in Los Angeles, giving myself permission to eat things that, having lived through the 1990s fad of low-fat, high-carbohydrate, fat bad mentality, especially as a adult, young adult, first being overweight, first learning about having to watch what you eat and be conscious of what you're doing, and that was a lot of lessons that weren't exactly healthy. No eggs, no fat bad, fat really bad. And now we know better. 30 years later, we know that fat necessary, fat and sugar necessary. But it's the types of fats that you have to be careful what you eat. We didn't know, but I don't even know if we knew about trans fats back then. All fats were bad. All fats were demonized. Eggs that are so good for you were demonized almost out of existence in some households. No, can't have eggs. Never eggs ever again. So yeah, I was giving myself permission to eat things that I hadn't eaten for a good 15 years, One of the things that I really, really loved and realized I hadn't actually denied myself and forbidden myself from eating was chocolate raisins or chocolate sultanas. And living over in LA, new to Costco, because we didn't have Costco in Australia yet, there was a 1.5 kilo, probably 3 pound box of chocolate raisins. One of the things you do when you learn to intuitively eat is you have your trouble foods, at least one at a time, your trouble foods, your weakness foods, what do I come in what they call them, but foods that you struggle with having control over, and you have them in the house. You have them there, a plentiful supply, so that your body knows and begins to trust that the food will be available. It's not a short. It's like a dog or a cat. Any animal really. If you deny them food when they're given something in abundance, they just wolf it down and make themselves sick, basically. So initially, I had no control. I would eat till my stomach would hurt. I wouldn't actually vomit, but I would eat and eat and eat. I reckon I ate that first tub of chocolate raisins in 2 days, I think I want to say. Something like that. Very short amount of time. And I bought the second tub, just in case. And then that tub lasted me about 4 or 5 days, I think. And then I had to go back and get another one. Didn't finish the third tub. And I was talking to a friend of mine who used to work at a chocolate factory. She wasn't on the line, she was in one of the clerical staff, but she said the same thing. She said, everyone's like, oh, wow, it must be so great. You get all because they get seconds and samples and stuff. They can take home as much chocolate as they want, basically. And she's like, yeah, no, I don't really bring chocolate home. I was like, wow, my mind at the time was, whoa, how can you not? Because every time we drive past the chocolate shop, or let's say when you drive past a coffee shop, the smell is just, delicious. And we drive past it occasionally. She lived further away from us, so we drive past it occasionally. She's like, oh, wow, that smells amazing. She said, no, because I'm in it all the time. I'm just used to it. It's just chocolate. It's just a thing. She used to be a chocoholic before she worked there. I got sick of chocolate. There was actually a point in time where I didn't even eat any chocolate at all because because surrounded by the smell constantly just put me off. And at the time I couldn't. I had no, like, she's crazy. What's she talking about? You can't get sick of chocolate. Yeah, you can. If you not everyone can. I get that. Everyone's different. There are people who don't have the off switch. They would just keep going and going and going and going and going for various reasons. There's many reasons why some people are unable to do that. Even no matter how much they want to, some people just can't. Like me, I can't just make my emotions be normal, you know, neurotypical, you know. But for me, I was amazed at how giving myself full permission to eat the chocolate raisins, the chocolate sultanas, just eventually my body went, oh, you really mean it. It's not a test. It's not, you're not going to take it away. You actually mean it. I can have as much of this as I want whenever I want. That was the first food. That was the first food I really tried to break the guilt cycle, the good bad cycle with, and it was successful. So now, whenever in recent years since then, in like 20 years since then, whenever I have a food that I don't realize I have a thing for, I've got a little thing in the back of my mind, like, oh, it's the chocolate raisins all over again. And I was actually curious because I haven't had these for so long. Would it be a chocolate raisin? Would it be something I had no control over? And now it's actually fine. It's just sitting there looking at me going, I'm here if you want me. If you don't, that's fine too. The most recent thing I had that with was, I think it was gyoza. It was pork or chicken gyoza from Costco. I hadn't had gyoza in a long time. Well, they were a special food because we go out to the Japanese restaurant and get them. Sushi we'd have quite often. Sushi I can make at home. That's fine. Gyoza I know how to make, but they're so time consuming, and it's more of a thing you make as a group. To make it worthwhile, you're going to make lots and stick them in the freezer. And the ones in the local shop, they're so expensive, it wasn't worth buying. And we found some reasonably priced ones at Costco, and I went through a whole bag. I'll admit that. I did it the proper way with the pot sticker way. You saute it and grill it and steam it all in one, and you get the lovely crispy side and the soft side. And I went through a whole bag. There was probably 30 in there. Again, it wasn't in one day. It was like over 2 or 3 days. But again, that was it. That's all I needed. It's like the process. The more I do the process, the easier it gets. The more I understand the process works. My body trusts me to go, oh yeah, okay, yep, this is this. We can have this again now. It's fine. And that freedom from food, freedom of, what's the word? Denial. Freedom of choice, really, has made such a huge difference. I think that's what's helping me with my PMDD eating, because the emotional payoff isn't there anymore. I'm being naughty, I'm having all this food I shouldn't be having. You know, shouldn't. I removed, that's another thing I did. I removed shouldn't from my vocabulary unless it's strictly necessary where it actually applies. I've learned to say, could I have this? I could have this if I wanted to. I'm choosing not to. Or I'm choosing to have this, knowing full well in the moment that I may be emotionally eating or I may be doing this, but I'm choosing to do this because I want to. That was another lesson I had to learn. Shouldn't. I hear so many people talk about food now, and I just feel so sad for them and sad for me when I was there. Good and bad food, and guilty and naughty and little cheeky snack and this and that. It's just so upsetting. I'm actually gripping my cup tighter. That's how upset I am. That people are taught that sustenance is good or bad, is moral judgments on food. Different if it's, slave labor used to grow the food or something like that, or for vegans, ethical vegans that they have feelings and moral stuff about food. I have many vegan friends, and we have interesting discussions about stuff. Unfortunately, I have to eat meat. Even if I wanted to be vegan, I couldn't be. I've tried being vegetarian. I've tried being vegan, and my body, for whatever reason, needs the animal protein. So, it's interesting having conversations with some vegans who don't understand that not everyone can eat a vegan diet. I get very sick if I don't. My brother was vegan for a long time and started losing his hair even with B12 shots, so he's had to switch to being vegetarian. So I do know of what I speak with that. Something in our genetic makeup just means that we need different proteins, different sources. We need animal sources of certain types of foods. So I followed a rationing diet from the 1940s. That has helped me eat less meat. I realised I don't need as much meat as I thought I did. Especially now that I'm perimenopausal, I don't need to replenish all the heavy bleeding I used to do with my period on all the iron and stuff. That's helping. And I love vegetables. We all love vegetables. All three of us love vegetables. We eat vegetables at most meals, actually. So eating healthy for me, eating healthy foods has never been a problem. I love to drink water. I love vegetables. I love fruit. I just used to eat way too much. Add in the hormonal eating, and it was just, oh my God, too much. I was going somewhere with this, believe me, I truly was, and now I can't bring it back round to the circle to where I was going. I'm trying to bring it back to where I was. I thought if I talked long enough, I'd get there. Billy Connolly used to do that. He was a master of the circular comedy. Talk it out and back around. But no. Mars bar. I think I covered the Mars bar fully. But yeah, food for me has been a journey. I've come from a healthy childhood through emotional stuff, through not knowing I had MS. I had it for over 20 years. I didn't know I had it. Not knowing I had PMDD. Had that for over 30 years. Didn't know I had it. All these things, the guilt and the emotions and things that I thought was my fault, that I was useless, that I was hopeless. I remember I belonged to a weight loss group years ago, and I was figuring out intuitive eating on my own without realizing what it was. This was the mid-90s again, when fat was demonized, and I was working out that I could have fish and chips. I was counting calories as well at the time, because again, that was also the go. But it was a hormonal week. And I worked out that I could have foods as long as you have them within your macros, right? Your calorie count. Everyone knows how to do that. I'm not going to go into it. Everyone knows what that is these days. So it was a hormonal week. I'd had a packet of Tim Tams across the week. They're Australian biscuits, the chocolate biscuits that are divine. Most people, I assume, know about them. Tim Tams and Vegemite we're pretty much well known for. I'd had the packet across the week. 9 biscuits, only 9 biscuits in a packet. I had a packet of those, and the day before the weigh-in, a couple of days before, on the weekend, I'd had fish and chips for dinner. I walked to the fish and chip shop, ordered my meal, and walked back with the fish and chips. So that's a healthy thing to do, right? I knew I was having fish and chips. I added a little bit extra exercise across the week. I kept everything within my calorie count for the week, and I actually lost 2 kilos that week. This was back when I was first starting my journey, so it was a lot easier to lose weight. I was younger. I was new to weight loss, so it was easier to take off. And I won the Slimmer of the Week, or whatever they called it, I can't remember. And the leader of the group got me up to say, hey, tell us what you did. So me being the honest person that I am, I told him exactly what I did. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, good for you. But then later, at the end of the night, as we're leaving, the leader obviously had stuff going on. She was horrified. She pulled me aside in front of my mum, our friends, and other club members, and she's like, "You can't say that. You can't say." She had this complete and utter meltdown about that I couldn't say that I'd had Tim Tams and fish and chips, despite the fact that I was the slimmer of the week. I'd lost 2.5 kilos that week, but she was the firm believer of the diet mentality at the time. Plus, she had other personal issues going on that I found out later, and she basically put me off that way. But I wish it had been different. I wish the leader had been a different person, or just reacted differently, or because I was on my way to figuring out intuitive eating at the time and what worked for me. But that squashed any confidence I had in myself. It made me doubt everything. Everyone else is upset for me, and I was upset. But at the time, I thought I just blew it off, like, oh, she's just being, whatever. But it didn't. It came out years later in therapy, actually, nearly 20 years later in therapy, that it had deeply affected me, because I didn't trust myself after that. I was so proud that I had figured out a way to have what I liked to eat, to exercise how I needed to exercise, and knowing what I know now, the fact that I lost 2.5 kilos on a PMDD week, that was just phenomenal. I really had figured out the exercise and everything. So here I am, many, many, many years later, glad that I've finally learned to trust what I know about my own body. And I know more about my own body now. And that's the hard thing about being, what you see on the internet, what you read about diet culture, influences, all that stuff. I was watching another guy's video today, and he was saying the same thing. Good comments, people in the comments give you advice. And it's sometimes hard to know what advice to take and what advice to apply to yourself and what advice to let go. And I wish I'd known back then to have the confidence in myself to trust my own gut and what I was doing, what I'd figured out for myself, and not listened to that other person, the person in position of power. And even though we all just blew her off and said, "Oh, she's just doing whatever," it's still stuck. It's stuck. It lodged itself. It was like a barbed arrow that got stuck and then grew over, and it was just 1 or 2 years later that I finally let it out. And I think having gone through that, it's why I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years to figure out why I do things, what my behaviours are for, what causes them, trying different foods and things. Do I even like them? I remember, again, intuitive eating years ago, I tried turnip. You thought I hated turnip. Well, I did hate turnip every way I'd had it, except the way I tried roasted. So that was one of the tips, to try different foods different ways. Mashed, boiled, baked, roasted, sautéed, stir-fried, all different other ways with different combinations with different flavours and things, to see if you actually dislike the food. Because when you're raising a child, you keep giving them the food, because it takes several tries for your body to go, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't. And taste buds can change. As we all know, taste buds change. Ideas change. Thoughts change. There's just so much that I've been through about food. What I thought I knew about myself, what I thought I knew about food. And it's changing. Our bodies are ever changing. Our experiences are ever changing. And actually, I don't like coffee like this, I've realised. Because yesterday I was drinking a cup of tea, drank through the whole cup of tea. It was delicious. I've drunk just less than half of that. And no, I don't like it without sugar. Probably could go do it with a biscuit like I did yesterday. But again, I'm not hungry now. Don't want to eat. Because I have been able to do that in the past. I've been able to drink it and dunk the biscuits in, and it's been fine. Or I put a teaspoon of sugar in, but I don't like just a teaspoon of sugar anymore, because now it just tastes sweet. It doesn't taste nice to me. Just the sweet overrides everything else. But the coffee by itself is too bitter. So perhaps only have coffee when I want a biscuit with it, when I'm actually hungry and want that. Okay, well, all that talking, and I came around to you've actually witnessed in real time me figuring out something about a drink. Yep, and that sat here this whole time while I'm drinking that bitter drink, and I don't want it. I don't need it. I think it is about the nostalgia of what the chocolate tastes like. But the thought of eating it now, even in a PMDD week, my body said no. Even when I was hungry this morning, I've had breakfast and I wanted morning tea. I was hungry and I looked at it and I went, no, I'd rather have the dark chocolate with the almonds in it, or just plain dark chocolate. Or I'd rather like a hobnob or a chocolate digestive or a Tim Tam. I want chocolate, milk chocolate, and have that, something else. I don't want this anymore, and that's okay. I can remember what it was, what it tasted like, how delicious it was. I'll just go put that on the hubby's bedside table later and he can have it. Wow. Okay, that didn't go how I thought it was going to go, but I've rambled on and I've got to where I needed to be. So thanks for the free therapy session, I guess. Helped me work through what I needed to work through. Yeah, I think I can go do some chores now. That restless feeling's gone. So I wonder if that was my in here trying to tell me that I didn't need the chocolate. I didn't need to test myself. It was here and it was unnecessary. Or it was just time. It was time. I needed the time to figure out what I needed and what I don't want. And I don't want this. Bye-bye, Mars bars. I don't want you anymore. You're delicious, but no thank you. I'd rather have a hot chocolate. Something else. Anybody else had thoughts like that, where it's something they really, really used to love and don't love anymore? Or is it you have the opposite problem where you still love it and you still crave it, and no matter what you do, you can't have it in the house because it's something that you just consume? I've been there, done that. I know that feels like that's just, there are certain foods you can't have in the house, and I get that. Intuitive eating doesn't work for everyone. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go hang out the clothes that just came out of the washer before. Yeah, and go enjoy my jaw. That's MS brain for you. Enjoy my walk with my daughter later. Now that I've got all this out, I don't need to yak her ear off about this, and I'm glad I've talked to you guys about this. Thanks very much. Oh wow, it's a long one today. Was lots of rambling. Thanks for listening if you stuck around. I'll talk to you later. Bye.